The movie kicks off with a mosquito taking flight, venturing into a scene where Max and Penny, two seasoned zombie hunters, are on the lookout for their targets. Penny relies on an ancient orb to track approaching zombies, while Max takes charge of the gritty task, drilling holes through their heads. As Max successfully takes down one zombie, his focus wavers, prompting him to instruct Penny to fine-tune her directions, just as a plump, bearded lady zombie lunges at him. Swiftly dispatching her, Max tosses her aside, only for the mosquito to swoop in and draw her blood. Waste no time, Max drills through her head, triggering multiple blips on Penny's orb, signaling imminent danger. Suddenly, they find themselves besieged by zombies, leaving Max to fend them off as the mosquito makes a quick getaway. Venturing through the woods, the mosquito emerges onto a road, colliding with a passing car and sticking to the windshield. Inside the car, Tina and Steve, a couple on the brink of marriage, are en route to their woodland cottage, accompanied by Steve's sister Sarah and her husband, Craig, dozing in the back seat. Tina vents about the compromises she's made for their impending nuptials, including a guest list of 300 people that leaves Steve flabbergasted. Despite his surprise, he brushes it off, prioritizing Tina's happiness. Tina dreams of their wedding being a cherished memory, prompting Steve to express gratitude for her choice of Sarah as the maid of honor, despite their strained relationship. Tina reassures Steve that she's doing it all for him, emphasizing his significance to her and even their pet, Muffin. Sarah and Craig awaken, utterly repulsed at the sight of Steve showering affection on Muffin. Pulling up to the cottage, Tina seems disinterested, immediately delegating cleaning duties to Sarah. Once the girls depart, Steve confides in Craig, hoping for a blossoming friendship between the two, but Craig bluntly counters, drawing from his own marital experience with Sarah, asserting that their relationship is far from amicable, despite any facade. Craig advises Steve to abandon his futile attempts at manipulation, but Steve remains adamant, convinced that joint tasks will bridge the divide between Sarah and Tina. Hours pass, and exhaustion sets in as Sarah and Craig tirelessly prepare for Tina and Steve's impending wedding, yet Tina suggests more tasks, determined to make the most of their time at the cottage. Eager for some relaxation, Steve proposes a game, hoping to foster camaraderie between the sisters-in-law, but his plan backfires, sparking conflict instead. Sensing the tension, Steve suggests a walk, only for the same zombie mosquito to intrude, attempting to feast on Tina, Sarah, and Craig, who swat it away. However, Steve becomes its unwitting victim, enduring multiple bites before ultimately dispatching it, its blood curiously abundant. As Steve cleans himself up, Tina, sensing his unease, approaches him with comforting gestures, opting for a foot massage to soothe his icy feet. Meanwhile, Max convinces Penny to snap a photo of him with a hefty zombie, teasing her when she claims to detect alarming changes in the orb's readings. Out of nowhere, the hefty zombie springs to life, but Max swiftly dispatches it, attributing its revival to the orb's mysterious fluctuations. Despite Max's reassurances, Penny remains uneasy. The following morning, Steve awakens to find himself happily married to Tina, who cheerfully prepares breakfast. Suddenly, Sarah and Craig join them, fixating on Brain, to Steve's bewilderment. Sarah sips a smoothie, only to exclaim, "Brain freeze," prompting Tina and Craig to jokingly suck her brain through straws. They coax Steve into joining, but as he does, he finds himself back in bed, behaving strangely. Later, he encounters Tina and Sarah, opting for a stroll with Craig. During their walk, Craig imparts marital wisdom, but Steve's attention shifts when he fails to detect his own pulse. His senses seem heightened as he spots distant birds and raccoons, sensing their heartbeats. When Craig advises Steve to follow his heart, Steve bizarrely attempts to attack him, halted only by a sudden fart. Back at the cottage, Steve's behavior becomes erratic, culminating in him flinging food at Tina, who recoils in disgust. Craig leaves Tina to deal with the mess alone, while Sarah tries to warn Steve about his choice of bride. Steve, dismissing her concerns as animosity toward Tina, insists on finding contentment. Despite Sarah's initial resistance, Steve convinces her to support his decision, and she begrudgingly agrees to help Tina clean up. Meanwhile, Penny alerts Max to the orb's unsettling changes, suggesting the possibility of a hybrid zombie. Max teases Penny about the strange orb she carries. But Penny has a serious purpose. She believes the orb indicates the hybrid zombie she has long sought, a creature that might resist the virus's changes, helping her create a vaccine, but Max ignores her. Meanwhile, Steve returns home to find his friends heading to the supermarket without him. Eager to join, he is stopped by Tina. As they part, Penny and Max pull up. Max claims to be a zombie hunter, making Steve hide. After some awkward introductions, Craig and his friends mock them, after Craig recalls an online interview. Max's response isn't pretty, leading to an uncomfortable standoff. After sending Craig and Max back to their vehicles, Penny shares her contact info with Tina, along with a book on dealing with the undead. After everyone leaves, Steve notices a strange reaction whenever he says, "Brain." Trying to eat normal food makes him sick. He considers feasting on Muffins the rabbit's brain, but can't bring himself to harm the pet. Desperate, he dresses up to hunt, but fails miserably, even getting sick from a snake. Feeling hopeless, he returns home and accidentally bites Muffins. Just then, Tina arrives, horrified to find Muffins dead and Steve with blood on his lips. Later, Steve confides in Tina and his friends about his zombie struggles. Tina brushes it off as pre-wedding jitters, but Steve proves it's serious. His mouth fills with saliva whenever he hears brains, and he's starving. Determined to help, Tina claims to cross any limits and to marry him. They head to the market for brains, stumbling upon a butcher who sells more than meat, guns included. Steve opts for brains of various animals, starting with the squirrels and ending with a shocking encounter with a grizzly bear's brain. After packing up, they leave the shop. Meanwhile, Penny informs Max about budget constraints, and that she's ready to rough it out, but Max keeps teasing her instead. Back at the cottage, tension rises when Craig and Steve clash. Despite Tina's concern, Steve seems unfazed, even when his hand gets stuck in a car door. Craig tests him, but Steve feels nothing. Sarah worries, but Steve insists on having fun. They cook steaks, and Steve's newfound invulnerability adds excitement to their antics. Playing rough, Steve feels alive, unfazed by danger. As night falls, Steve's condition deteriorates, spending the evening doubled over in the bathroom, heaving. Upon his return, Tina attempts to comfort him, but accidentally peels a layer of skin off his ear. Swiftly improvising, she rummages through her makeup kit and secures his ear back in place with staples. Enlisting Craig's help to hold Steve's ear steady, Tina beckons Sarah for a heart-to-heart. Retreating to the side, the girls spar over whether to rush Steve to the hospital. Steve, witnessing their dispute, panics, while Craig finds their intensity oddly alluring. Stepping in, Steve urges them to communicate calmly. Sarah's anxiety eases when Tina confesses her fear of losing Steve, adamant about marrying her brother no matter what. With tensions diffused, Steve proposes venturing into town to find a willing donor for his brain feast. Tina intervenes, devising a scheme. She and Sarah will pose as hookers to lure a suitable prey for Steve. After burying Muffin, Tina and Sarah set out, with Steve favoring a male target, earning him the teasing label of gay zombie from Craig. Meanwhile, Penny and Max share a moment, with Max recounting his survival tale from being abandoned in a Philippine forest at age 9, toughening him up. As they gear up for their mission, Max asserts his way of doing things. Amidst the mayhem, Tina and Sarah crash a party, eyeing the odd assortment of men. Sarah frets, but Tina reassures her, urging her to adopt a certain allure, reminding her of their crucial role in Steve's quest. Suddenly, a collision jolts their car, drawing their attention to a menacing figure scrutinizing them. Tina sets her sights on their target, strategizing to ensnare him. Meanwhile, Craig attempts to educate Steve on the complexities of the human brain, only for Steve to veer off course, sniffing at Craig's own brain. Alarmed, Craig hastily orders him to keep his distance. As Tina and Sarah successfully lure the imposing figure into their car, Tina swiftly incapacitates him with her trusty pink stun gun. Meanwhile, Max and Penny arrive at the same meat shop frequented by Steve and his friends, seeking brains for their zombie cure. However, they discover that Steve has already beaten them to it. Max eagerly sets off in search of a fresh target, while Penny's hopes are lifted at the realization that Steve may still be resisting the full transformation, potentially paving the way for a cure. Returning to the cottage, Tina and Sarah surprise Steve with their catch, prompting him to wonder how they managed it. Encouraged by the girls, Steve grapples with his fear, urged to follow his instincts and sate his hunger. Reluctantly, Steve prepares to confront the captured figure, while Craig, in a panic, rushes outside for help, stumbling upon Penny's contact information. Desperate for assistance with his zombie friend, he reaches out to Penny, who calmly extracts their location from him. Meanwhile, Steve's attempt to harm the captive proves futile until the timely arrival of Max and Penny. However, Craig's fear spikes at the sight of their guns, prompting Penny to assure him of their intentions. Despite her pleas, Max discards Penny's orb, determined to pursue his own agenda. Just as Steve prepares to strike with a nearby hammer, the captive abruptly awakens. Max bursts into the cottage, drawn by Steve's desperate cries for help. As he breaches the door, the imposing figure breaks free from his restraints, prompting Max to unleash a barrage of gunfire. With the threat neutralized, Max loads the lifeless body into his van, ready to depart, until Craig arrives, tears streaming, mourning his friend's fate. In a bizarre turn of events, Tina and Sarah adopt an odd demeanor, urging Craig to calm down, only to discover he was the one who summoned the zombie hunters. Despite their efforts to shoo Max away, he pauses, drawn by strange noises emanating from within his van, leading him to uncover Steve's presence. Ignoring protests, Max trains his gun on Steve, prompting Tina and Sarah to step forward in defense. However, Craig intervenes, providing Steve an opportunity to flee, though Steve inexplicably turns on him. Despite his inner struggle, Steve resists the primal urge to devour Max's brain, finally embracing his monstrous identity. As tensions escalate, Max hesitates, acknowledging Steve's humanity amidst the chaos. Unexpectedly, Penny intervenes, sacrificing Max to save Steve, pledging to utilize him for her cure and basking in the ensuing fame. Yet, Tina seizes the moment, drilling a hole through Penny's skull, revealing her nefarious intentions. With the threat neutralized, Tina assures Steve of their safety, affirming their path to a blissful marriage, concluding the movie on a triumphant note.